Ladies and gentlemen, this is an article that just came out in the Metro co.uk. Here's why the US opioid plague is so much worse than you think. It's an article that came out September 27th, 2017. The drugs are linked to nearly 150 fatality overdoses across the states every day. That means the country is enduring a death toll equal to a September 11th attacks every 3 weeks. That's outrageous. The plague claimed around 33,000 lives in 2015, according to the most recent figures. What makes this mess so alarming is how far reaching it is. There isn't a neighborhood, city, or community in the United States that has not been either directly or indirectly impacted by the opioid plague. Angelo Valenti, Executive Director at Partnership for a Drug-Free New Jersey, told Metro US. What is also very unique about this plague is it equally impacts families of all social, economic, religious, and geographical backgrounds. The severity of the plague is enormous. It is infesting every crevice of society because of the way opioids have been made so easily available to us. All right. You can see them moving a body in a morgue. Wow. And look like he's doing a CT scan on a body. Addiction starts in the doctor's office and ends on the street. Opioid use has increased sharply over the past few decades, and the surge can be thanked in part to the medical community. Physicians upgraded their reliance on them in the 1980s when they believed opioids like OxyContin, Percocet, and Vicodin were an effective and non addictive means of treating chronic and acute pain. The number of opioid prescriptions rose rapidly in the following years, and the opioid sales nearly quadrupled from 1999 to 2014, according to the Centers for Disease Control. But it has now been established that these medications do indeed contain qualities that are addictive. All of the above opioids are prescribed by doctors and dentists to their patients to treat things like a persistent toothache, for example. And that's the danger because these drugs are handed out by professionals. We think they're safe, but that's far from the case. Some similar feelings to a high, an heroin high, and the same type of dependency. All right. People of all ages are prescribed, and in many cases, overprescribed opioids can lead to dependency, continued Angelo. And we know whites are definitely overprescribed the opioids because, you go by the racist belief that black people don't feel pain. But I want to thank you for believing that because you really spared us in this drug epidemic. And I really do appreciate that. Those dependent on prescribed opioids often turn to heroin, which has a similar chemical composition and is much less expensive. The chemical formulas of prescription painkillers and heroin are nearly identical and produce similar effects and are as addictive. Heroin, although is illegal, is extremely inexpensive and accessible. The plague is no more visible than in New Jersey, where around 2,000 deaths were linked to opioid overdose in 2016. Angelo said the state has some of the purest and most accessible heroin in the country. New Jersey is currently enduring a rise in the distribution of fentanyl, a pain medication that is 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. There were 46 fentanyl related deaths in New Jersey in 2013, according to the New Jersey Advanced Media. This climbed to 800 in 2016. All right. So, what's being done to combat the opioid crisis? The government has taken steps to fight the epidemic in a number of ways. Well, they must be invisible because I don't see anything and I don't see any articles on what they're doing. Recent legislation signed into law in New Jersey, for example, limits initial opioid prescriptions to a 5 day supply. That's not gonna, never mind. It's also required doctors and dentists, when prescribing opioids to a patient, to have a conversation with them about the addictive nature of these painkillers and whether there are non opioid alternatives. Nationally, the President's Commission to Combating Drug Addiction and the opioid plague is examining ways to better address the plague. On one more local level, many police departments are offering to help those struggling with addiction, with some providing walk in hours for those seeking help. All right, so this is pretty much it. This is a really bad situation going on in the US. And as long as the addiction is out there, then the drugs will be there too. So I know they're cutting the doctors back on writing the prescriptions, but if you haven't done anything on the street level, then what are they really blocking? I mean, it's the street drugs are easy to come by, very easy. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I stated before, this drug plague ain't going nowhere. It is here to stay. It's just too many millions of people on the drug right now, and nothing concrete is really being done from the Trump's commission made recommendations, but nothing is really being done to make any difference right now. I mean, this whole thing is imploding on America right now. And I already did an article a few days ago talking about how much money this is killing America economically, trying to deal with this drug plague that's going on. And in my opinion, this is the one thing that will bring America down, is this drug plague and their inability to stop it. And expect no changes. Please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. And if you can donate to my channel, please do. Peace, family.